Assalamu alaikum. Today's our topic is about The Thought Fox by Ted Hughes. In this video, we will cover author biography, poem introduction, summary, explanation in Urdu, themes, and literary devices. So let's start with the author biography. The full name of Ted Hughes is Edward James Hughes. He was born in 17 August 1930 and died in 28 October 1998 in England. He was an English poet, translator, and children's writer. He was considered as the 20th century greatest writer. He was also appointed as a poet laureate in 1984 and held the office until his death. He also come in the 50 greatest British writers since 1945. His style include verse without sentiments. His famous work include The Hawk in the Rain, Crow, Cave Birds, an amalgamation of God and a thought fox. His famous awards include Signal Poetry Award in 1979 for Moon Bells and other poems. In 1983 for The Rattlebag. Co-edited with Seamus Heaney in 1985 for What is the Truth. He also won the Guardian's Children's Fiction Award for What is the Truth in 1984, Bequest of the Royal Society in 1980, and another Guardian Children's Fiction Award in 1985. Then there is an introduction of the poem. The poem first published in 1957 as the part of his first collection of poetry, The Hawk in the Rain. This animal poem is a description of the creative process undertaken by a poet in his work. Second time this poem is published in 1973. It is a metaphorical poem having the main idea of creativity, inspiration, and imagination. This poem is about writing poetry. The thought fox is a poetic energy or the inspiration to write a poem. The inspiration comes from dark, and the dark here stands for the unconscious mind of the poet. Then I want to define the title's significance. The title exemplifies Hughes' use of animal imagery where the fox is the symbol of thought in the mind of the writer, ready to write down his work. The poem traces the process of artistic creation from the moment the idea comes to the mind of the writer till it is written down. So before starting the summary, I want to share the background of the poem. The overall poem is written in the description of fox. Poem is written after World War. It disturbed the whole civilization. It impacted the writers that they lacked passion, creativity. Creating art is a spiritual process and writers lack their spirituality. So it is written by a writer who lacks his inspiration. I imagine this midnight moment's forest. Something else is alive beside the clock's loneliness and this blank page where my fingers move. In this stanza, writer is talking about the midnight, which is the darkest time, and a forest. He is basically saying that there is also something alive instead of me. And in the midnight noise of the clock is alone. Narrator says that beside clock and his fingers on the blank page, some other thing is also alive. Through the window I see no stars, something more near. Though deeper within darkness is entering the loneliness. So in this stanza, narrator is saying through the window no star is visible. Here window is a symbol of eye and mind and star is the symbol of hope. So writer says that there is no hope and inspiration to make me create something, but there is something which comes close to me in the loneliness. Cold delicately as the dark snow, a fox's nose touches stoic leaf. Two eyes saw a movement that now, and again now and now and now. Here the narrator is talking about the snow that is dark in the cold night time and says that it is a fox who move and touch in the dark. In this stanza, winter's cold symbolizes death, gloomy day and downfall. The writer need spring. A fox is coming near to the writer's fox enter the light delicately. So narrator is talking about the eyes of hope who can see him, the eyes of fox. Here the word now describe the movement of eyes of fox. Sets neat prints into the snow between trees, and warily a lame shadow lags by stump and in hollow of a body that is bold to come. So in this stanza, narrator is talking about the eyes having full of life. The enter of fox shows the coming of inspiration. Here snow symbolizes the blank paper of writer, the blankness of mind, that cold snow. Here narrator says the hollow covering of a tree, lame shadow which follow the fox and the hollow of the body. And the idea is lame. Crows clearing an eye, widening, deepening greenness, brilliantly, concentratedly, coming about its own business. So in this stanza, narrator is saying that the idea is lame and it will very soon, slowly and gradually come in my mind. The writer does not have true idea, it comes boldly out in the mind of the writer. And in this stanza, eye symbolizes the new world. Narrator says that there is a wide and deep greenness in the eye of fox, who can see deeply a lot of things. Till with a sudden sharp hot sting of fox, it enters the dark hole of the head. The window is starless, still the clock ticks, the page is printed. In this stanza, the dark hole of the head symbolizes the writer's mind. The mind is blank and immediately comes inspiration and idea in writer's mind. The window is starless, the clock ticks stop, but the page is full because writers write a poem on a blank page and now the page is printed. Now I describe the overall summary of the poem. The speaker sits alone in the middle of the night, surrounded by a forest that may or may not be in his imagination. He senses that something apart from himself is alive as the clock ticks in the silence and his fingers hover over an empty page. He can't see any stars through the window, but feels that something is approaching him from the depth of the darkness, heading toward this isolated scene. A fox gently touches its cold nose to twigs and leaves in the darkness. Its eyes scan its surrounding again and again from moment to moment. The fox leaves prints in the snow as it makes its way between the trees. Its shadow trail behind it is like an injured animal. Poem is basically the process through which writers take an idea due to war and spirituality devoidness. There is no inspiration. But in the end, the page is printed means that writer writes something. This poem is a metafiction. There are also several themes in the poem, like poetic creativity, animal imagery, nature, symbolism, artistic imagination, inspiration, and spirituality. There are several literary devices in the poem, like alliteration, that is midnight movement, and again, and sudden sharp. The second one is assonance, which is present in the line, I imagine these midnight movements for rest. In this line, the repetition of I and E is assonance, and in the same line, the repetition of M and T is consonance. Overall, poem is a hyperbole due to exaggeration. Another one is personification in the line, beside the clock's loneliness. The human quality of loneliness is given to the non-human clock. The clock ticks in line 23 is an example of onomatopoeia. The allusion is present in the line See No Star, which is taken from the Philip Sidney, Astrophil and Stella. The tone of the poem is lonely and the setting is house near forest. Like fox is the symbol of inspiration, eye is the symbol of hope. There are also several metaphors and similes, like delicately as dark snow. Here narrator compare the fox eye with a sudden inspiration. I hope you people understand, but if you have any questions, so ask in a comment section. Thank you.